How would you like to increase your response rate to the marketing that you're doing? In today's video, that's exactly what we're going to talk about, are techniques and strategies for how to increase your response rate so that you're getting more results from the marketing that you're doing. Take a look. Hey everyone, Kevin Smullin with 2Q Lead Generation Strategies. If you're new to our channel, welcome. We're so glad you're here. What we're all about is helping real estate agents just like you generate more leads, set more appointments, and close more deals. So if you are after more leads, appointments, deals, this is absolutely the place to be. Please consider subscribing. We'd love to have you here as part of our community. Now, before I get going in today's video, one quick note. Down in the description below, you'll see a link for our Facebook Masters class. It is a free 2-hour class showing you all the best practices of what we do to do exactly what we just talked about. Generate leads, set appointments, and close more deals. So if you're curious, go take a look at that. It's 2 hours of your time well spent. Now, in today's video, what we're going to be talking about is how to increase the response rate to your marketing. So here's what happens a lot of times as people get involved with marketing, whether it's Facebook or offline or whatever it is they're doing to promote their business. But what typically ends up happening is they'll start doing a lot of marketing. They're not getting a ton of response. They get frustrated, they quit. And so some of it you got to remember is long-term. There is repetition involved in this, but there are ways strategically that you can increase your response rate. And so today, what I'm going to be talking about is how to do that. So let me go ahead and share my screen real quick, and we'll talk through this. So the principle that you need to understand, and part of the reason I'm recording this video is I had somebody ask me this week, with the marketing that I'm doing, does it make sense to be more micro in nature where I'm talking about specific things, or to be more general so that it's appealing to a wider variety of people? Now, granted, there are times where one or the other makes more sense, but when we're speaking just generally from a stereotypical point of view, the answer is the more focused you are, the more response or the more targeted you are, the better response rate you're going to have. This is one of the ways that we significantly increase our response rate is by being very micro, talking about something very, very specific. So to kind of illustrate that point, I want to just kind of talk you through this and let's go through it a little bit. So if you were to market to, let's go through a couple of different demographics. Let's say you were marketing to first-time buyers, right? Think about some of the problems and questions and things that are on their mind that they have. So some of them, they have credit issues that they need to deal with. Right? A lot of times they're worrying about down payment, where the money for the down payment is going to come from. They have questions about that. They're just not familiar with the overall buying process. And if you were to spend a few minutes just kind of brainstorming and thinking about common problems that first-time buyers have, you could probably fill up an entire sheet. And frankly, it's a good exercise. But for the purposes of what I'm going to cover today, I'm just going to stop there. Now, let's switch gears and talk about investors. What kind of issues do investors frequently face? Well, one of the biggest ones that they always have problems with is finding deals, finding properties that they are potential investments that would be good. Sometimes financing or being able to put the deal together is an issue for them. And again, if we were to sit and brainstorm, we could think about more. But again, hopefully you're starting to get the point. With empty nesters, if we were to talk about them, a lot of times the issues that empty nesters are facing, one of them that they face is stairs. They're looking for something that would be single level. There we go. Oops. L. Some of them are struggling with being on a fixed income through retirement. Some of them just they're looking for something that's easy to maintain as they're downsizing. And so again, we could come up with all kinds of scenarios and things that each of these different groups of people are facing. But for what we're talking about, this is plenty. So let's now, to teach you the principle as we kind of talk through this, let's just talk about these 3 different demographics, and hopefully this will kind of help you put things in perspective. So if you were to try to come up with a marketing message that would appeal to all of these groups of people, the first-time buyers, the investors, the empty nesters, how would you create a real estate marketing message that would appeal to all of them? And as you're sitting there thinking about that question, you're probably struggling to find an answer. And that struggle that you're having to find the answer is the answer, right? The truth is you can't. There's no way to create one message that's going to appeal to all of these groups of people that have different problems. Because what you might say to one group is going to not matter to the other groups. So when you're trying to create one message that's for everyone, the truth is you can't. And this is why the single biggest truth when it comes to marketing, as we're talking about this principle, is that the more you try to appeal to everyone, the less you appeal to anyone. Or said differently, when your marketing is focused on everyone, it actually appeals to no one. Because in this sense, the only way that I can really create a real estate message that's going to have any relevance to any of these people is that message you've heard your entire real estate career, which is, I can help you buy and sell homes. Well, that's not very captivating for any of these groups of people because it's not focusing on the questions that they have, the problems that they're facing, the challenges that they have. And because you're missing that mark, you're going to get a very low response rate when you're trying to be focused. So this is why the more you can be targeted and talk about specific things, the better response you're going to get to your marketing as a whole, right? Now, with a lot of the lead generation ads and those kinds of things that you've seen me do and that I do for a lot of my clients, yes, a lot of that is very generic. But when we get to the retargeted marketing where we're showing ads to people based on previous actions, that's where this principle really comes into play. We want to be specific. Now, the problem that everybody has about being specific is everyone thinks that okay, Kevin, if I only talk to the first-time buyers, then everybody else is going to ignore me. That's kind of the mindset, and that's why people steer away from this. From my experience, what tends to happen is the more focused you are on your marketing message talking to a specific issue or a specific group of people, it actually does not alienate the others. My experience is let's say that you're talking about credit issues for first-time buyers, right? If you've sounded credible and you've made some great points and helped people solve that problem, what happens a lot of times is people in these other categories, the empty nesters, the investors, all these other categories of people, what typically ends up happening is they'll say, well, what about this, right? They'll ask their question. And so I have found that the more specific you are, it doesn't cut out all these other people. They actually are incentivized to ask the question simply because you've made an impression and they realize that you're different than most people than what they've seen. So this is why the more specific you can be with marketing, especially with the repetitive style of marketing where we're just keeping in front of people, it's one of the most significant ways of increasing your response rate. The other significant tip that I'll give you in this video for increasing response rate is using calls to action religiously, right? So a lot of times I see people, they'll create a video or put a post on Facebook and they'll do something, and then you get to the bottom of that and there's no invitation to take the next step. And that's what you also want to do. Invite people to take that next step. Your call to action could be to download like a buyer's guide, a seller's guide, some kind of report. It could be to watch a video or to click on an ad or to go to your website or any number of different call to actions. Click here to shop for properties, click here to request a free market analysis. There's all kinds of different calls to action. Some of them require more effort and some of them are very simple, such as, share this with someone that might be interested or, click the button or just something very simple. But we want to invite people to take next steps, right? It's just an easy way to also increase your response rate, whether it is asking them for or offering a free market analysis, a free guide, a free whatever. But asking them to take that next step with you is the other significant tip that I would give you to increase response rate to marketing. So when we're talking about increasing response rate for the marketing you're doing in your real estate business, these are really the two biggest tips that I would give anyone. Number one, be specific. Talk about specific issues. Again, specificity is power when it comes to marketing because people respond. And number two, use call to action. We want to invite people to take that next step, regardless of what that next step is. We just don't want people sitting there after they consume the marketing to be going, what should I do? Right? We want to make it blatantly clear what's the next step, what do we want them to do, and just simply make that invitation. So hopefully you found that helpful as different tips and strategies to increase your response rate to the marketing that you're doing. If you found that helpful, do us a favor, take a split second, click that thumbs up button down below, and that split second of liking our content, it's just that signal to Facebook, or excuse me, to YouTube, that you like the content we're putting out, and so they recommend it more often. And as dumb as it sounds, just that click helps us tremendously. We appreciate your support. Also, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please consider subscribing. You can click the subscribe button down below. There will be a little bell. If you click the bell notification, you'll be notified every time we put out new content, and we put out new content like this every single week. Also, I'll put up a couple videos right here, or actually right here, that you can watch. More tips and strategies to grow your business. And if you're curious about the services that we provide, where we do the marketing for you, help you grow your pipeline and turn those leads into business, feel free to look in the description below. I'll put a link where you can find out more about those services. So that's it. Make it a great week. Keep crushing it in your real estate business. As always, if we can help, let us know. Otherwise, we will see you on the next video. Take care.